Hey, everybody, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking to Zack Sexton. He has been in the Salesforce ecosystem for quite some time now, and I'll let him tell his story. But first off, I just wanted to thank you for joining us, Zack, and getting the opportunity to talk to you about Salesforce. And hopefully, our audience can learn some things about maneuvering their way into the Salesforce ecosystem.
Absolutely. That's my goal. Thanks for having me on, Brad.
I want to talk a little bit about sort of taking a step back to the beginning. What were you doing before a Salesforce career, and how did you, I guess, first get interested and then determine that this was going to be a path for you?
I was a implementation specialist at a software company.
Okay.
And it sounds a little fancier than it was. It was a work order ticketing system. And it was a small company in Austin that had their own proprietary software. Most of the clients used a very old school Access database type program. They were moving over to more of a SaaS, like an online platform. And I would help those who either had the program or had just bought the program set it up and run it effectively, as well as do training.
Mhm.
So some of that was online. A good chunk of it, though, because of the industry that we were in and maybe just the systems that were set up beforehand, were on-site visits. I'd go to a dog food factory in Indiana or a chocolate factory in Trinidad or a prison in California and just go out, look at the layout of whatever that facility was, say, hey, what are the things we're trying to maintain? What are the naming conventions? What's the parent-child relationships between these two? And what are some of the common actions that need to happen, and create those systems and help train the people, like, okay, now press this button, now this
Mhm.
button, now
Mhm.
this button. So that's what I was doing. It was a smaller company, and when the pandemic hit, uh, my role was one of the many that got furloughed,
Mhm.
because I obviously couldn't fly around and do as much training as I was. We transitioned to online training, and that was slowing down a little bit. So I was furloughed, and then during that furlough, I was like, I don't think I'm coming back. I just didn't. The writing up was on the wall, where I didn't think they were gonna re-extend my offer. So I talked with a technical recruiter friend of mine, and he mentioned how he always had a hard time filling Salesforce roles.
Yeah.
That it just was a very in-demand industry, and people were getting paid well to do the work, and that I should look into it. And I did. Just found Trailhead, actually one of your YouTube videos, and then Facebook group, which was called, was it, I think, the Building Your Talent Stack Facebook group at the time,
Yeah.
was one of
Yeah.
the first ones that really convinced me of the opportunity. That, like, hey, this software is being used by these Fortune 500 companies.
Mhm.
The growth path has been X. The number of people working in the industry because of this growth path is Y, and the current rates are this, and I just only saw it growing. And then the fact that Trailhead was there, you could just get on it and go through those modules and know how to do something by the very end of it, and then get
Yeah.
certified, which gives that impression that, okay, well, they at least kind of know what they're doing
Mhm.
with the job. So in your Facebook group, I found a couple people who wanted to do a study group together. And we basically broke down the whole admin Trailhead into different little steps, and met a couple times a week to discuss what we'd learned on those different Trailheads. And within 3 months, I sat for my first certification. Was super nervous, and when I pressed submit at the very end, I was like, I don't know if I passed. I studied really hard for it, but I did. And during that time, I was doing a little bit of, upon likely your suggestions, in your YouTube videos, and we actually had a phone call or two,
Sure.
doing some content marketing for myself on LinkedIn. So I would write little updates about what I'd learned, or my study tactics and whatnot, and put them on there. And that somehow introduced me to where I ended up getting my first job, which was Spencer Lowe had a consulting firm in Utah. And I think he just one of the things about consulting is good communication skills. So he saw what I was writing and videos that I was posting, and seemed like I had reasonable communication skills. So he said, "Hey, when you get your certification, let me know. We might have an internship role coming in there." And so I messaged him, and he said, "Yeah, let's talk." And I think the next week we talked, and he pretty quickly extended an offer. One of the things we were talking about before we started recording is just getting their foot in the door. The offer wasn't great. I will even just say what the number amount was. It was a internship. It was a trial period where for the first 3 months, I would work for full-time for $2,000 a month. It's like, that's not definitely a step down. But I was pumped about the opportunity because I'd known what you had known, is that, hey, if I get this experience, even if it doesn't work out with Solved, and we kind of got along pretty well from the get-go, so I thought it would, then I've got 3 months of experience and a certification, so I can then go and get that next role. So did the trial period, and then he extended a more full-time offer. I still wasn't. He wanted me out in Utah, and I still wasn't able to make it out quite then. So I didn't get my bonuses. So I think it went from $2,000 a month. So I guess that would be $24,000 a year to I believe it would be $55,000 a year, because I didn't have any bonus related to that. And then as soon as I moved out to Utah, so I'd say, so there's the 3 month to study to get my first $2,000 job, 3 month internship period, and then it was very beginning of 2020, so I think it was February 2020 I moved out. I started getting the bonuses, and I think by the time I left, I was making $75,000 annually at that company when you include bonuses. Plus, Solved, which is a great company to work for, had tons of like massage and a lot of other like extra benefits, super good health insurance benefits and things like that. So it netted out to be a little bit better than that 75 showed. So I used that to negotiate my next role, which the benefits aren't as good, but I've got a higher base. I'm making $92,000 now. And that was 1 year almost to the day after working at the consulting firm.
Yeah. So I like this story, and I want to harp on a specific aspect of it, because I think a lot of people watching this, and people that I've talked to, if they heard that they needed to work full time, and some people are not capable of, I shouldn't say not capable, not in a position to accept $2,000 a month for 3 months. And I do understand that. Like, if you're in a full time role at a different company in a different industry, and you're making whatever it is, $5,000-$6,000 a month, and you're trying to transition over to Salesforce, you may not be able to follow that path. But at the same time, there are a lot of people out there who are either unemployed, or they are extremely unhappy with their current positions, and they're working 80 hours a week. They're not happy at home. They're not happy at work. They could accept making $2,000 a month for 3 months in order to make the transition happen. But they let that limit them because they don't want to take that big step back in order to invest for their future. And I don't think most people need to go that way. I think you had an opportunity in front of you. The timing was right, and you jumped on it. And I think obviously it was a good decision. But I think if there's one thing people can take away from that, be open-minded about this first opportunity. You're not looking for your dream job. You're not looking for the exact amount of pay that you want to make. This is your first job. This is your foot in the door. This is not trying to make everything perfect on day one. And I think if there's one thing to take away from what you're saying, it's you accepted a 3 month full-time $2,000 a month. internship position because you knew the power of that first role. From there, they hired you on full time, and still not, at a rate that you might expect for a first job. But again, you understood that, because I remember talking to you, you understood that, yeah, this is tough. Yeah, they want me to relocate, but I'm going to accept this because number one, it's right in front of me. Number two, I'm getting challenged and exposure that's going to help me. And now, you just mentioned that you are a year later and you're making over $90,000. Now you're on track for the rest of your career. You're in the right pay range for the market, the market income for your role. So if you can get that first foot in the door, here's the amazing thing. You could have made $30,000 that first year, right? And then you work for 20 years making $100,000 a year. You're going to make $2,030,000. If you had pulled off the job making $70,000 in your first year, over 20 years, you're going to make $2,070,000. Do you see how much it doesn't matter how much you got paid in that first role? It's the difference between 40 grand when we're talking about over $2 million in a 20-year career. So I just want to point that out to people, that if you can afford to accept that first job like Zach did, accept the job, because it makes no difference the rest of your career. If anything, it gets you kicked off into being more marketable for those higher income ranges faster. And that's where the value is.
Yeah, 100%. And I got really lucky in some ways. I mean, I don't know how lucky of year it really was net for everybody, especially. But the pandemic had those crazy high unemployment benefits. So my pay did not even drop while I was studying, and actually I had to take a drop to take the job. But I mean, I knew just all of the things that you were saying is this is going to get me the experience that's getting me where I want to go. I don't want to just sit here on Trailhead and collect checks from the government for another couple months, even though I could have done that. It didn't make much sense to do that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And obviously, hindsight 2020, I'm sure you're looking back going, okay, that was a grind, but boy, that was worth it. Like, things are good now. You put in the investment up front. And I think it's that concept of delayed gratification, where just put in the grind up front and you're going to get to reap the benefits for the rest of your career. And that's pretty awesome. One thing I do want to talk about is the difference between when you were looking for job number one and when you were looking for job number two, because I think a lot of people get discouraged when they're working on this entry level role. You can go through a lot of interviews, you can get a lot of no's, like, you don't have enough experience, not quite what we're looking for. All those things can happen. And the good news is you only need one person to say yes to overcome that obstacle. But I want to understand, what was your experience from job number one to job number two, as far as your ability to select the company you worked for, how confident you felt in your ability to negotiate for the amount of money that you felt you were worth, all those things. What was it like, sort of the contrast between trying to get that first job and then the doors that opened up as you were trying to get that second job?
Yeah, I mean, I had no leverage on that first job. It did happen pretty quickly, and so I didn't go through that grind that some people do of lots of applying for jobs and not hearing back and the like. And I would say that wasn't completely luck. I did put, if I was studying 20, 30 hours a week, I was spending 10 hours doing content creation on LinkedIn. So I think that strategy is a very good one, that will give you a leg up early on, or at least get your name out there a little bit. And then if you do get that interview, if somebody goes and looks on LinkedIn, you're going to stand out so much more than somebody else, because they're like, oh, this person is focused on Salesforce, and yeah, they don't have as much experience, but especially if the hiring manager is technical at all, if they can see, oh, he understands these basic concepts, you're going to be hearing back from them. I think that's much more likely. But as far as negotiating, I couldn't be like, oh, you know what, I'd really like to make close to six figures. No, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And as far as the second job goes, or that the starting to look for that second job, basically every day I was actually just looking in my LinkedIn, and surprisingly, I don't have any job offers in my in my inbox. But usually, it was probably like every other day, a recruiter would be saying, "Hey, we're interested in your technical expertise," and they'll
Mhm.
make you sound really awesome. Um, and so there was that out there. I did a little bit of work with some recruiters, just had some conversations with them. A lot of the recruiters were trying to get me into other consulting firms, which I wasn't interested in.
Yeah.
So that avenue wasn't going down as well. I did apply for, I think it's probably three different jobs that I actually did. I wrote the cover letter. That's something that I suggest to people too, especially early on, but even on your second or third job. I've always spent a lot of time writing a nice cover letter, just not having any typos, and reading the job description, going to the website, and spending some time like, why do you think that you'd be a good fit for this job?
Yeah.
And sometimes in doing the research for the cover letter, there was this one job that did um, legal document tracking software.
Mhm.
And I was writing the cover letter, and I was just so bored. And I'm like, I'm not even going to apply for this job. This is a boring job. I can't be excited about it.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I did. And this one was actually probably was more of a referral from a friend. He was looking for other jobs, and it was in between a consulting job and the job that I ended up taking. And he took the consulting job. So he basically was like, Zach, will you take this job? Because I strung him along for a little bit. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
when I did the application, or when I looked into it, it seemed really interesting. They were down the street from me, which was pretty nice. And as soon as I started doing the interview process, I really enjoyed everyone I was meeting with, um, and that was there. So it was kind of like I somewhat had the job even before I was applying, because I knew people in the area that were already in Salesforce that were working, and um, I had the experience for the position, and then as far as the negotiation goes, the pay range I believe was 75 to 85 for the position.
Yeah.
And I just let them know, like, hey, this would be a step down, and I'm not interested in doing that, but I will take this.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. They had to get some approval, and then the next week I had the position.
Yeah, that's great. So I heard sort of a theme there, and I think people come. I think everyone has this, but it's a series of what I sort of refer to as limiting beliefs in your life. So like things that cause you to feel that other people get opportunities that you don't get, and it's not your fault. It's because they had some benefit that you didn't have. And so I don't want people to accidentally lean into a limiting belief in the story they just heard, because here's what some people may have just heard. Zach was looking for his second job. He knew someone who basically handed him the job opportunity, and that's something that I don't have. So I guess this story doesn't apply to me. It's not true at all. If you notice sort of a theme throughout what Zach's been talking about, it's been when I was applying for my first job, I was on LinkedIn writing effectively marketing content for himself, personal branding for himself around how he's preparing to be a Salesforce professional, how he's preparing for his certification exams and study groups, and making sure that they're learning the content and pushing forward in what he's doing. Now, that is what effectively got him his first job. He's taking a strategy of, instead of applying for 1,000 jobs, he is showcasing his value through professional social media on LinkedIn and just writing articles. We're not talking about YouTube channels with 10,000 subscribers. We're talking about writing an article that 100 people see. And if one of those 100 people starts to say, hey, Zach's writing cool stuff, this guy stands out to me compared to everyone else I'm seeing, I message him or send
And
him mail or whatnot and
Jason,
see if we might have a conversation.
Jason, the person
Yeah, yeah,
who
go ahead.
referred me the job, that's we met on LinkedIn, and then we ended up
Mm-hmm.
getting on some phone calls. I think we were both a year into we started at similar times in our first roles, and so we would
Yep.
like maybe once a month get on the phone and chat. But it was because of those LinkedIn articles again. So
Yeah.
I haven't done them recently, but those whatever 30-40 hours I spent on writing those
Mm-hmm.
have made everything else that much easier.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of it, right? It's that you don't just somehow have a friend who's applying for Salesforce jobs and then all of a sudden they hand one off to you that they didn't accept. That's part of your network. And so when people talk about networking, sometimes they say, get out there and network, and they don't tell you what to do. I think these are prime examples. So, like, if you don't know how to network, take notes. It's writing content. When somebody likes your content or messages or comments, message them back, comment back. You are starting to form a relationship, which is very real, whether they're standing in front of you or they're talking to you virtually. These are still real relationships. And you can see that they pay off in the long term. So, yeah, Zach didn't apply for 1,000 jobs. Zach did a good job networking and actually forming relationships with people in the Salesforce ecosystem. And that's when opportunities present themselves. And I think people hear those stories of they landed a job because they commented on a post and somebody invited them for an interview. Guys, that's not luck. That happens all the time. And it's not, it's not by chance. It's because they're using a specific strategy to get the attention of individuals that's different than the strategy of applying for a bunch of jobs. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. So that's awesome. So it sounds like you're all set in your new role. You're doing a lot of the right things. You've put in the investment up front. Sure, there'll be some challenges in front of you, but it seems like you've got a really bright career sitting in front of you now, and you're getting more experience every single day. So I think number one, I'm excited because I feel like I've been able to watch this unfold from the beginning, and we've gotten to talk a little bit. So I am thrilled that the best laid plans finally came to fruition, and yeah, I wish you certainly more and more success to come.
Thank you, Brett. And your content, the calls that we had early on, the program that you developed, and I'm able to act as a volunteer project coordinator for, like all of it it made a massive impact. It planted the seed that made me just like, this is the right thing to do. So I did those things. And I don't know what I would be doing without it. So I really appreciate it. That just everything that you put out there, it's amazing. And now that I'm seeing 20-30 people getting landing jobs a month from your program, I feel the same way about your program, because it was just a little Facebook group. I think there was 1,500 members, and probably like 100 really active ones, just like, oh, just do this trailhead yet, and going from that to what you've built has been pretty impressive as well. So back at you.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. It's been fun. I like to say that I didn't build the community. I facilitated a place for people to come hang out. It wasn't total marketing all the time from different people, and sort of a safe place for people to come hang. And the community created itself. So I certainly appreciate everyone who's part of it, and that's the Facebook group is Salesforce for everyone now, for anyone who wants to come join in and see those conversations. But
Much
yeah,
better.
until next time, I'm sure yeah, much better name. But we did fall back on the talent stack naming for the name of the company. So we're bringing it back,
that's true.
like it or not. But yeah, I really appreciate this conversation, and I certainly hope to have you on again soon.